I don't know if I'm the only one, but I'm starving. I'll give the devs my kidney for any options besides this. Oh, okay, I see. The explosive weapons I want, the explosive weapons I get. Holy cow, okay, this guy really wants some explosive weapons. I have to admit, some of these weapons look pretty sick. Now, first of all, when it comes to explosive weapons in any game, I feel like we have to keep in mind just giving somebody a rocket launcher just to do whatever with can probably be pretty hard to balance. However, these weapons over here to the left seem a little bit easier to balance, I think. At the very least, this kind of looks like a minigun with grenades. I think that would actually be kind of interesting to see if the devs could pull something off like that. And also keep it balanced, which I can imagine it would be kind of difficult to do that. But yeah, the grenade launcher obviously is our pretty much only, it is pretty much our only explosive weapon at the moment. It would be kind of cool to see like a legitimate explosive weapon as a primary. And I was actually thinking about this because at first I was like, dude, how could you just give somebody a primary explosive weapon? So here's how I would do it. I would pick the smallest one, the ones that is the easiest to balance, and I would obviously make it pretty powerful. Akin to pretty much what we have with the grenade launcher right now, but a little bit easier to get ammo back with it. Maybe a little bit more ammo, a better ammo economy overall in the weapon. Obviously just something for tactical and heavy to use. Both those classes you can regenerate ammo with, which is nice. Heavy, you're probably pretty used to playing around heavy and the ammo economy on that class, considering the plasma incinerator. I would say I would want the weapon to be like basically similar to that, like maybe a stronger initial explosion than the common shots for the plasma, but no charge up. You know what I mean? So maybe something like the common shots with more fire rate or something like that. But yeah, obviously some of these look very powerful. So I can imagine actually adding in a new explosive weapon into the game would feel pretty interesting. I bet you if they do end up doing that, it would be like operation specific. And I mean, I wouldn't be against that. However, considering the grenade launcher and how the devs kind of, basically balance that weapon, I can imagine this would be kind of difficult for them to pull off. These do look cool though, and dude, the idea of having like something like an explosive weapon as a primary weapon choice for heavy and tactical, I really do think that's like the only way you'd be able to pull that off. I don't think Vanguard or Assault or Bulwark, I really don't think they really care about primary weapons that much. And Sniper, obviously, I mean, the Sniper doesn't care about explosive weapons. They have a Bolt Sniper and the LF and the Stalker. Instigator's still really good. Bolt Carbine, yeah, you name it. The Sniper, the Vanguard, I think that they have really good primary weapon choices. Bulwark and Assault obviously wouldn't care about primary weapons. Tactical and heavy, I think, have the perk set up for something like this, and I do think this weapon should be about as strong as a heavy plasma incinerator, maybe a little bit stronger for the common shots, something like that. And yeah, giving tactical something like that does sound pretty powerful, though, to be honest. But keep in mind, tactical also has a plasma weapon. I do think plasma weapons are pretty comparable to at least what I'm seeing here. However, this one looks the coolest, but also looks very damaging. Some of these I don't understand. This one looks like, see, here's the thing. This one doesn't look like it has a lot of ammo, and this is the one I'm referring to here is the one all the way to the left. It does look like a simple grenade launcher. This one looks like an automatic grenade launcher with smaller grenades. That is something I can see being very doable. This also has a pretty large mag, so that's very interesting. Oh, it's the same thing. Oh, these two are the same. Oh, I see now. Yeah, I see now. Okay, no, never mind. Then this is definitely doable. This is more doable than the rocket launcher, I'll tell you that much. Funny, I would give devs my kidney for them not to add that abominable belt-fed missile launcher. This dude does not like this weapon. Regular missile launcher is cool though. Wouldn't mind having that, dude. Okay, well, see, here's the thing: the belt-fed missile launcher. Okay, that does sound pretty insane. I just don't see how it would be very satisfying to give the heavy just one primary weapon. It's just the rocket launcher, and they use it like maybe 10 times or something like that. I'm just trying to think of an explosive weapon that you can use. You can use as much as you want, really, if you're playing within, your ammo perks and everything, like tactical and heavy mainly do. So I don't know, something like that I do think would be interesting, but unfortunate. Yeah, if it's too powerful, abominable. Wow. Okay. Yeah. That's if it's too powerful or just people really don't like it, then obviously, I mean, we are look. We need a new primary weapon in the game, so we are kind of just throwing out ideas for this one. We all know we're probably going to get like something like the Pyro Blaster at some point. Obviously, we're getting some new melee weapons, so that's good. But when it comes to new primary weapons, I think as far as suggestions, there's been some pretty good ones. But like, dude, if we really start talking about just regular weapons that aren't unique, like explosive weapons, I'd want to see a Storm Bolter in the game. But apparently that's not going to happen. So, I mean, something like a rocket launcher, I guess, if it was like operation specific, I can actually see the devs doing that. But maybe the belt-fed missile launcher could potentially be overpowered. However, I just think if they find a way to kind of balance the damage around plasma, just maybe make it a little bit easier to use, a little bit better fire rate, but like similar arc and how that works out, velocity and everything like that. So. As far as like plasma weapons do seem pretty comparable to actual explosive weapons, 100%. But yeah, apparently the belt-fed missile launcher is not something this guy enjoys. Also upvoted comment. So yeah, let me know in the comments if I was pretty off on my analysis on the explosive weapons there, because at least the way I looked at it, a rocket launcher on tactical looks goofy, but something like a belt, like something more akin to a grenade launcher, would totally work for tactical and heavy, 100%. But a rocket launcher is just something that would work for heavy, if that. And then, not to mention, a rocket launcher does sound pretty strong, where it's like, oh, this is something I would want to pick up for a specific boss fight, and it's not something that's just regularly available. So yeah, to me, the belt-fed missile launcher looked like a primary weapon. I don't know, I'm sorry. Abominable, holy cow. Once the Tech Marine comes out, he'll have access to a micro missile launcher and a las cannon option in addition to his forge bolter. Are they referring to like his turret, or are they referring to his primaries? I mean, I'm pretty sure we looked through this before. Yeah, apparently we do have some code here. Well, not code. I'm not 100% sure what this is. It could be code or something. But yeah, we'll check that out. Micro missile launcher does sound pretty interesting. If this is something that could be a primary, I can see them pulling this off. Doesn't sound too strong, I guess. Micro missile launcher is probably what I was looking up there. Yeah, the minigun grenade launcher thing that I was thinking about. Micro missile launcher, I don't know. Or maybe it's the belt-fed thing that people don't like. Regardless, when it comes to micro missile launchers and the Tech Marine, potentially the Tech Marine introducing a new primary weapon. Yeah, we're gonna check this out. Let's confirm this one. Content shoulder gun. Supported abilities: ability shoulder gun bolter, ability shoulder gun rocket pod, ability shoulder gun las cannon. Not a primary weapon. So unfortunately, this does not, at least this doesn't hit the criteria I'm looking for. However, this is pretty cool. So not gonna hate on this, but it is a new explosive weapon. I'll give them that. It's just not a primary that we can put on tactical or heavy or something like that, you know what I mean? But I will say, yes, when it comes to the Tech Marine hype, I know I'm pretty much there as well, but I'm going to keep my mouth shut about this class until we get there, because when it comes to patch 9, there is a lot to go through with patch 9, apparently. Patch 9 is definitely a little worrying, but we'll talk about that when we get closer to there. I mean, we're waiting on the community update, which should be around the 28th or the 30th, one of those. Heavy is likely getting the Pyro Blaster or Heavy Pyro Blaster next. After that, perhaps a launcher. Now, are the plasma weapons. We have the Heavy Plasma Incinerator and a Plasma Incinerator. This is definitely hitting the criteria of a weapon that could work for the tactical and the heavy. Now, we talked about the Pyro Blaster, definitely something with dot damage where you can set somebody ablaze and they take damage over time. That does sound very, very appealing, especially for this game. I would love to do that. Now, here's the thing. Here's the thing about the Pyro Blaster. We've kind of used it before, In the campaign, I'm not 100% sure if it was the most fun weapon to use. However, the enemies we were going against in the campaign with it, I admit, also weren't my favorite enemies. So maybe it would feel better in something like Siege mode, where you can get, dude, honestly, I can see the Power Blaster being insane in Siege mode. That would be kind of cool. I'd be down to try that out. But yes, this does hit the criteria in the sense that it's technically an explosive weapon. I mean, I guess that the tactical and heavy are kind of lined up to use. I mean, that's interesting. I mean, we're kind of on the same page here. Almost. I mean, even the original poster here says I would be satisfied with that. He said, I hope so. So, yeah, I assume they would be satisfied with the Power Blaster. But yeah, like, obviously, explosive weapons would be kind of hard to balance. I get that part. And not to mention, we had an explosive weapon in the game that was tough to balance. And I would say the grenade launcher at the moment, considering how automatically you can get like ammo boxes and stuff in Siege mode, I would say the grenade launcher is definitely better in Siege mode, but it's very doable. It's doable in operations as well. But to be honest, the bolt rifle, this is a bit of a hot take, but the damage variant on the bolt rifle for tactical when it comes to headshots, oh boy, that's a good weapon. That is a good weapon. And considering the weapons the actual ammo economy on the bolt rifle and the grenade launcher variant of that weapon, considering ammo is kind of pretty terrible with that weapon, it's kind of funny how even if the grenade launcher, you know, even if you use the grenade launcher variant, you're still gonna have ammo troubles too if you use the the damage variant of the bolt rifle. But anyways, you can always just use the tactical perk to get your grenades back. But obviously getting your ammo back would be a lot easier, right, with that perk. So it's kind of an interesting weapon right now, to say the least. It's definitely not something I'd consider a satisfying explosive weapon to use. I'll go that far. But I think in Siege mode it is. It's a lot more satisfying in Siege mode, 100%. But yeah, the Power Blaster, sheesh. I mean, if they add this into the game with a new class, like how they're doing Tech Marine, I think that's like their best strategy, 100%. Because I would be excited for the Power Blaster, but we need a new primary regardless. But I'd be much more excited for a primary that I didn't use in the campaign, and it was kind of underwhelming, that I was underwhelmed with, considering the underwhelming enemy at the time. Also, I'm not 100% sure if the Power Blaster even had the dot effects anyway, so I guess if we do get something like this, it would be functionally remastered, essentially. It would be reworked in a way that could actually feel satisfying to use. So, alright, yeah, I can definitely see it through that point. But ultimately, when it comes to getting a new primary weapon, there's a lot in the way of that, because Patch 9, we all know we're not getting a new primary weapon for that. Patch 10 is a new class. I mean, we are getting new weapons for that, so that's interesting. So Patch 10 would be new weapons. Patch 9 is basically just going to very much change the game's balance. We'll see how that works. And Patch 11, that would be pretty close to 2026, guys. So if we were looking at a new primary weapon, it could potentially take months, and that doesn't sound very good. So that's why sometimes thinking about this stuff can feel a little bit overwhelming, considering the scope of it. However, the devs did confirm year 2 content, so potentially, if you really want to be excited about a new primary weapon coming down the line, chances are there's going to be multiple, which is nice. I mean, I genuinely don't understand what the devs are going to do with year 2 at the moment, but I could theorize some stuff for sure. But we've talked about this before. I think when it comes to Season Pass 2, they should definitely add some PvE content to it that would feel satisfying. I know we're getting operations, but something a little bit more probably would entice more people to actually purchase Season Pass 2. But yep, obviously a primary weapon would be cool. If they added a primary weapon that you can only use with Season Pass 2, that would be pretty frustrating, but I would buy Season Pass 2 in that case. I can't see the devs doing that. I don't think the devs did anything that insane, with this game. In fact, they actually seemingly like throwing out free cosmetics, but it comes down to like events and stuff like that. So I don't know. That's pretty much all that I can really say at the moment. I've seen plenty of comments recently, especially because of my last video where I was talking about players leaving the game. There's a lot of worrying comments that I felt like I could pretty much talk about a lot of the things there, so I kind of wanted to point out some things here. But yeah, regardless, when it comes to Power Blaster, new explosive weapon, I would love to see it. I do see the devs adding a rocket launcher into an operation, like a unique rocket launcher for a unique boss fight. I can see the devs doing that. But chances are we are getting a heavy Power Blaster and a Power Blaster. If a new primary weapon is added into the game, chances are it would be for the tactical and the heavy. And something like this does apply to both of them. Does hit the criteria. But yeah, let me know in the comments how you guys feel about this. And thanks for watching.